Lucy Walker, the director of Mountain Queen, specializes in filming people overcoming tremendous odds. Her previous works include Blindsight, the story of six blind Tibetan teenagers climbing a 23,000-foot peak on the north side of Everest. Blind children in Nepal are often seen as cursed, so this climb transforms their self image and their horizons. Lucy also directed the Academy nominated and Sundance winning The Tsunami and the Cherry Blossom, which follows those devastated by the 2011 tsunami and earthquake in Japan as they recover, repair, and prepare for the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh my goodness. Well, you only cried a little bit, You're a tough, um, it's a definitely emotional ride, isn't it? And one thing I love about the movie is when we have the subtitle, The Summits of Lhakpa Sherpa, and it really is about the summits of her life and these sort of metaphorical mountains. And I think not all of us are mountain climbers, but all of us do have really periods of extraordinary challenge in our life. Life is suffering, it is difficult, it has its moments. And boy, hers is difficult. And so to see her climb up out of those knockbacks and keep on climbing is both sort of physically and metaphorically just so alive in her. And what's one of the lovely things about the movie is her relationship with her two daughters, who, like her, have been through very traumatic, distressing times. And at the beginning of the movie are really struggling. And one of them, as you mentioned, is barely talking and clearly struggling and in need of inspiration. And Lhakpa had devoted her life to inspiring women and girls, and it's not going very well at the beginning of the movie. She's washing dishes in Connecticut, and her family's having a really tough time. And she decides she's going to go back to Everest, and we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know if this is going to work. It does seem a little bit of a crazy plan. And off we go with one of the daughters, the one that will go because the other one won't, and set out on this remarkable journey. And along the way, we will discover the sort of metaphorical mountains that she's been climbing, as well as the actual mountain summits that she's become a legend of climbing for. And the journey of the movie is that shape of the mountain climb, but also the summits of her life.
How on earth did you get the kids to go along and expose themselves? That was pretty special. I don't know how that happened.
Slowly, particularly in the case of the older daughter, Sunny, that was quite slow. And I was very concerned for her and wasn't at all sure where it might go. And there were times when it was a real struggle and she didn't want to communicate with me. And I just kept persevering. And I guess I fortunately am at this stage of my career where I do have quite a lot of confidence and experience under my belt. So I think that really helped me just know that these movies are a long game. And I just know enough about how humans work to know that you have to be very patient and tender with people and not push them past where they want to be.
Yeah.
So I never did. And actually with Lhakpa, it was a very long journey to her wanting to open up. She was wanting to do the movie with me. But when I first would talk to her version was definitely the kind of polished press release, and there'd be like years missing and
Yeah.
it didn't quite add up. Like, how did you get there? And she, in a way that people have been through trauma, she'd start laughing when describing something really painful. And that's a trauma response you might be familiar with, right? But it's a real sign. You have to go at the pace of people, right? You have to go at the pace of people. And
Yeah.
we did. And making the movie has been a real climb. Just like, I think it's my 10th movie, depending on how you count. It might be my 10th feature, right? So we followed her summiting Everest for her 10th time. I felt like it is a process, and I had the confidence that it could be a really positive process for all involved, and or at least not a negative one. And I think that worked out. But it was to my absolute joy and surprise that there was this one moment when we'd returned from Everest. We're back in this teeny tiny apartment, Lap shares a bedroom with her younger daughter, and it's just a very small place. And her older daughter, though, had the bedroom and didn't come out, and that was often where she'd be hiding away. And one night she just came out, and she came to the kitchen and just was in a whole different mood. And we'd actually wrapped for the day and kind of given up. I kind of thought, well, she's not going to come out today, I'm not even going to ask. But I just thought, oh, wow, this is a new feeling. And so I said, how about we do a little sort of rolling on this? And she said, yes. I said to the DP, quick, roll the camera. And he said, in the cards we wrapped. And I said, I know, sorry, but this is really special, and let's roll. And he said, well, there's no lights. The lights have gone, the lights have left. And I flipped on the light switch and I said, well, it's kind of light. And he said, but the sound recorders has gone home. And I said, I used to record sound. I know how to do it. And grabbed the boom pole mic, and off we went. And I can't promise it was the best recorded sound in the whole world, but that is this incredible scene in the kitchen where Sonny's really lights up and says, Mom, you've inspired me. And then they start talking as a family about what they've been through and really processing out loud for the very first time, and to start really turning the corner. And it's absolutely incredible as a documentary filmmaker when you're able to not just witness but capture a moment like that. And then you kind of keep looking at the DP who's, and knowing that it is, we should have wrapped earlier. It's like, but knowing that everyone would forgive me, because this is exactly, there's very rare exceptions where you do need to sort of push and try to get stuff. But this was absolutely the one. No one is mad that we stayed a little later that night to get that moment, because we were also just grateful and inspired that this incredible young woman, Sunny, was just finding her voice and stepping into a new world of possibility for herself. So really nice.
If you could talk for a second, sort of when chronologically you came into start with her, because it's the film goes, her filming of her goes back quite a bit. And then I had done not climbing like that. Okay, but I got altitude sickness. So I understand that. And I think I know there have been other movies, but this is the first movie which showed the downright suffering and the danger which people should be aware of when they do this.
No, we had an amazing team, right? We get incredible shots. What's cool about those shots is that we had an incredible team. We had more than one DP. We had an incredible DP, Devin Whetstone. We also had an incredible DP, Aaron Phillips, in Connecticut. And we also had a high altitude cinematographer who sort of takes us past the icefall, along with actually all the Sherpas on Lhakpa's team also had cameras and also got some great shots. And we spent a long time kind of empowering and equipping them with really like what we wanted and what we didn't want, and working with me and shooting with me, so that everyone knew what we were going for so much that they were empowered to make their own decisions, because I couldn't be there the whole time. I'm not that good of a climber. I at no point entertained the idea of going up through the icefall because it's so dangerous. So many people die there every year, so many people. And if you're not fast and great, then you're a danger to others. And it's also expensive to get the permit to go up past the icefall. And for all those reasons, I did not. And the communications remotely are really good, and that team is great. And I don't feel the need to be there all the time anyway. I really learned how to do Everest shooting by making my first Everest movie, you could say, Blindsight, which was a movie that came out in 2006 and is about some incredible blind people climbing the mountain next to Everest on the north side, actually, which coincidentally is called Lhakpa, and is a 23,000-foot mountain. And you climb all the camps of Everest, including into the death zone, which is that super gnarly, environment where you're basically dying and you have to get down because you've got limited time up there before you die anyway, even with oxygen. And so I did 2 climbs in 2004 and really fell in love with that whole region, but really figured out how you shoot that and how you think about a team and which collaborators are going to be the right ones. And boy, did we get the right ones. You know, it was all my top choices and it was incredible and they got incredible stuff and it was just an absolute dream team. And so, yeah, it's absolutely spectacular. And I was not there at the summit, that's for sure, because I would have just slowed things down. And it is really, really tough. You are at the absolute limits. But I think you don't need to be there all the time if your team is really clear about what you're going to need, what you want. And I was not there as well we have an amazing patchwork of material that we got from earlier climbs. I wasn't there either. I wasn't there we got this amazing material from the year 2000, her very first expedition. That was actually the dailies of another movie that hadn't been seen before, but she'd been filmed in the year 2000, and those filmmakers were cool enough to let us access that. And it was really amazing to dig out these old pieces and sort of put it together. So a lot of the work kind of comes in the patchwork of editing and weaving it all together. So you've got quite a lot of different pieces of the story because it's really the story of her whole remarkable life. And 10 climbs are kind of nested within this kind of arc, this kind of A story, this kind of present day story along the way of this like exciting climb, which thank you. I think we got some really cool shots like the Sherpa smoking and the real how she really feels inside that tent. I mean, I think you get some of these great moments. And I've never seen it. And I've also never seen Sherpas be the star of the movie. On camera, like it's all Sherpas, right? And that's a real recentering to focus on the Sherpa people who have historically often been sort of the invisible sidekick there every step of the way, often doing even more work, usually doing more work and carrying the stuff and not just climbing, but working as well.
So, just one last question. You have a very strong direction, which is very purposeful about people overcoming, changing.
I think I am very interested in stories where people are confronted with extraordinary challenge and they find superhuman reserves of courage and grace and resilience and rise up. And I think I'm drawn to these stories because I think they inspire me when life gets difficult, as it does. I think we could all use inspiring, and I certainly can. So I think I'm always kind of pulled towards those stories. And of course, when you're making documentaries, I do think that, cinema is drama and I like narrative, character-driven movies. And I like them to be unscripted, I like them to be documentary. But you do need some drama, I think, to make, at least I'm not a good enough filmmaker to do it without the drama. Some artists can do it. I'm not that good at it, but I haven't figured out how to do that. But I really like really exciting stories and I really like them to be real because I think that in our generation for the first time we've really got these tools that we don't need to make up a script and hire some actors. We can actually follow real people and see how life really works, and then we can go to an editing room that you can really edit very sort of carefully with non-linear editing so that you can really put together a story in a really clear and exciting way so that audiences are actually going to watch it even though it's not got movie stars in it and etc. So I think that's also the stories that I've thought, oh, we can get them funded and people are going to enjoy watching them, that's for sure. But I really am drawn to these extraordinary sort of superhuman superstar characters, but not sort of celebrity superstars, but like the people in my movies sometimes they're firefighters, they're people that sift through the garbage in a waste dump in Brazil, they're Amish teenagers, they're a single mom washing dishes in Whole Foods in Connecticut, which is what Lhakpa is at the beginning of the movie. And I love that, you know, as Lhakpa says, I'm not so humble, which is such an interesting line, you know, because a lot of people call her humble. And she says, actually, I'm not so humble, because she does have, there's lots that's humble about her life, but there's lots that's epic and grand and exciting. And I really love that we refuse to, just because she's not a celebrity or you know, a rich person or whatever, doesn't mean that her life actually isn't more valuable and more interesting, and that she's not more strong and triumphant and you know, absolutely top of the world of her sport. So yeah, she's not so humble. And I kind of like these kind of modest but not so modest kind of people, or finding the ways in which perhaps people that don't get celebrated, finding out what's really fascinating and important, and moving about their life's journey. Because I don't know, I find that really, I really like that act of seeing someone. I think it's so easy in life to not fully see what other people are going through. And I think we can stop someone in their tracks and say, wow, look, you would never have guessed the real story, and tell that story. I think it can be really, it kind of expands us. I think it gives us it makes us more aware of each other, and better humans, I think.